I was interested in hagiography because of an assignment that I got in one of John's classes. So it was a class on the lives of medieval religious women. And I had really enjoyed writing the paper for that assignment, and I had studied a recluse who lived in 12th century England. And from that, I got more interested in 12th century hagiography and hagiography of the high medieval period in England more generally. And I decided I wanted to do miracle stories, first because they tell us so much about ordinary people. And I found that very appealing, that you get the entire spectrum of medieval society. But the other reason I thought it would be fun to study them is that they always have a happy ending. And I thought, well, they don't always, but almost always have a happy ending. So one of the chapters in my dissertation was on stained glass. I really didn't know what I was doing at that point, but certainly the kind of stretching that I got here at the Institute was really critical for me to have the confidence later to be able to do that as my career progressed, and when I realized that there was a lot that I could contribute to the study of this particular stained glass at Canterbury Cathedral, that it required me to learn a lot more about stained glass than I knew, but I knew that I could do that because I had been here. Great advantage I had here was that I had a year in England, in London. I actually was the caretaker for the Notre Dame in London building, which was then used by the law students. And I got free lodging there by agreeing to kind of lock up the building at night and open it up in the morning and do some minor tidying. And with that, then I was able to work in the British Library almost every day. And then I would commute to Canterbury whenever possible. Yes, so I was able to spend quite a lot of time in the archives at Canterbury Cathedral, looking at the stained glass that I'm so interested in, and then also just being able to absorb the riches of the British Library. So when I teach a survey course in medieval history, I really do try to make that a survey, not just of kings and queens or maybe what students might expect, but really a survey of what the Middle Ages was like writ large. So a lecture on medieval music, a lecture on medieval food, a lecture on medieval warfare, a lecture on medieval bookmaking, a lecture on castle building, a lecture on medieval theology, and really try to give students a really broad understanding of what was going on in medieval culture and how many different paths you can chart through the medieval past. It's not just about politics or economics or society or any one thing. Well, 75 years is really quite venerable for something like a medieval institute or a specific focused area studies kind of institute or studies program. So I think the Institute can take great pride in a 75-year history. In terms of the numbers of students that have been trained here, the number of talks that have been hosted here, the number of conferences, publications, it really is a marvelous achievement and something that the university as a whole really should take a lot of pride in. And there are, I really think we need to think of holding the flag high, because humanities really are under threat at a lot of institutions. Maybe not so much here at Notre Dame, but certainly elsewhere they are. And I think now really more than ever, if we think past just the last 10 years or so in terms of how things have gotten so politicized in the United States, that we really need people who can think historically, people who can think about the past, not just through the lens of the present, but really think about what was it like back then? How is that different from now? How might people be weaponizing that past in ways that really aren't fair to the past, much less the present? And so I think there's there are a lot of roles for the Medieval Institute to take going forward. I hope that the Institute continues with its training of students, but also just as a standard bearer for medieval studies and for its importance and for the importance of excellence in its study, excellence in training in languages, in manuscript studies, in editing, whatever kind of editing that is, whether that's texts or images, and really the kind of hardcore study of the medieval past. I think that's what the Medieval Institute stands for, and I hope it always will.